So in this problem, we're asked to produce the explicit formula, okay, the explicit formula for the nth term an, and it gives us a few numbers. It's not telling us what a1 are, it's not telling us what r are. I mean, it's pretty easy to see a1, right? That's just the first term. But more importantly, it doesn't tell us what the common ratio is. So you have to do a little work at the beginning of this thing to figure it out. It's not too bad. I always think about finding r from the recursive formula. Remember what the recursive formula says. It says an equals an minus 1 times r. Or you could also use the explicit formula, an equals a1 times r to the n minus 1. It doesn't really matter which one you use. You're going to be plugging in some value for n, and I generally just take the second term and the first term. That's the easy ones to use. So we would plug in, say, 2 for n, and say that's equal to a1 times r to the n minus 1. Well, n minus 1, if n is 2, that's just 1, so we don't need to write it. And you see, it didn't matter which formula we used, whether we used the recursive or explicit. This is the important part to get to right here. Once you do this, you can say, okay, a2 divided by a1 equals r, and now all that remains is just do a2 divided by a1 to find r. This is the formulaic way of finding it. If you're more of a visual person, remember, each time we go up in this sequence, we're going to be multiplying by r. So this one is times r, this one is times r. We just have to figure out what r is to get those different numbers. Now, when you're dealing with fractions, it's sometimes a little complicated to look at. I don't do fractions intuitively in my head. If you're dealing with integers, it's not so bad. Let's do an example here. So a2, r equals a2 over a1. And you could pick a4 over a3. I just picked these because they're easier. Well, a2 is 5/7, and I want to divide 5/7 by a1, which is 3/7. Okay, and if you remember how fractions multiply and divide, this is going to be 5/7 times 7/3. Remember, you multiply by the reciprocal. The multiplicative reciprocal is what you replace a division by. So 7's cross out, and we get r equals 5/3. That's a very important number. That allows you to fill in the rest of this problem. Now, in some versions of this, you will see negatives. You'll see the sequence going positive, negative, positive, negative. All that means is you have a negative value for r. You follow this exact same procedure, you'll be just fine. Now, an. Remember what an is. That's the explicit formula. So we know r. Now all we need to do is plug in a1. So we say a1 is 3/7, and you can put parentheses over this if you like. And r, we just figured that out, is 5/3 to the n minus 1.